welcome to Monday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we have a puzzle from one of my very favourite setters of all. This is by Codec, and I think this is quite a new puzzle. Apparently it only came out a few days ago, but we've already had about a dozen recommendations to look at this on the channel. The puzzle's called Stretch Marks, and I don't really know why. I actually don't know why, but I can see there's an awful lot of symmetry in this grid. The purple lines are Renban and the grey lines are palindromes, and I'll read the rules properly in a moment, but I'm just admiring the symmetry and trying to think about what that means. Anyway, I've got a couple of things to mention before we kick off today. Sorry if you were looking for yesterday's video and it didn't come out at what you thought would be the correct time. The clocks changed here in the UK on Saturday night, Sunday morning. They went forward by an hour. So yesterday's video was accelerated for those of you who whose clocks didn't change at the weekend. Other than that, what do I need to mention? I mentioned in yesterday's video that I'd recorded a video of me solving the Sunday Times cryptic crossword number 5000, which appeared yesterday here in the UK. That is true, I did, but I forgot that it's a prize puzzle. So I can't release the video, or I shouldn't release the video, until that competition closes, which I think is on Saturday. So hopefully next Sunday is when that video will go up on the channel. So apologies to those of you who look forward to the cryptic crossword content. We may have more cryptic crossword content before then anyway, but that particular video will have to wait for a few more days. Now, over on Patreon, we have drawn the winner of the monthly reward for March. We had over 2,000 correct entries, which is quite astonishing. I think we have got over 7,000 patrons over there, so that's nearly a third of all our patrons actually took the time to not only have a go at any of the puzzles, but actually to finish all of them. It's terrific, it really is. And well done to Kaz I hope I'm saying that correctly. It's QAZ and WIZ anyway, so you know who you are, and there is going to be a Bubba is Yuki on its way to you shortly after I finish this video, hopefully, if I can solve the puzzle. Other than that, the other thing going on Patreon at the moment is another competition, and this is Philip Newman's it's the hardest classic Sudoku of all time. One of the puzzles we get sent the most often is a puzzle that appeared in the world's newspapers about 5 or 6 years ago, which was heralded as the hardest classic Sudoku of all time. That is most certainly not the current hardest, I can tell you that. Philip's puzzle is a lot more difficult and differs in another important respect from that earlier puzzle, in that Philip's puzzle is susceptible to logical attack. There is a logical technique which Philip basically has incorporated into that puzzle. It is brand new, and if you know the logical technique, you can solve that puzzle very quickly. Now, the earlier puzzle, the one that appeared in all the newspapers, was basically only susceptible to repeated guessing, so it's a very tedious exercise, which is why we've never covered it on the channel. But Philip's, you can do it logically, and we're going to be awarding a prize for the most beautiful solution. So you can't just send us the answer, you've got to explain whether you found the clever trick. And we're going to award a prize for the most beautiful answer, and also for the most comedic, the funniest answer, because Philip has found some of the entries incredibly amusing. So if either of those things is your métier, make sure you get an answer to us by the 31st of March, because that's when the competition closes. And Philip is judging as well, so I can think of no better judge, given it's his puzzle and he understands the logic perfectly, to make up his mind as to which is the best entry. Now that's it, I think. I haven't got anything else to tell you, so let's get on with Stretch Marks by Codec, and I'll read you the rules. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Each pink line contains a set of consecutive non-repeating digits which can appear in any order. So what that's telling us is, let's imagine this line, we worked out it had a 1 on it here. Then we would know, because this has to be a consecutive sequence of digits, it would have to contain 1, 2 and 3. And the 2 and the 3 can be in any order. That's all the rule is telling us. So just make sure each pink line I think I sometimes use purple to refer to this colour. But anyway, whether you think it's purple or pink, it needs to have a set of consecutive digits that don't repeat on it. Now each grey line, now you can see the two grey lines here are very short and stubby. They are palindromes, which means they need to read the same forwards and backwards, which when they're only 2 cells long is basically saying that that digit is the same as that digit, and then that digit is the same as that digit. So that's it. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I have no clue, by the way, how difficult this one is. So it might be quite hard, it might not. We can... Well, we can't say very much about this. It is very heavily symmetric, this grid. And what I mean by that is if we were to rotate this grid around 180 degrees, an awful lot of the clues would map to exactly where they are at the moment. I mean, the 1s and 9s would swap places, but that doesn't really do anything. This sort of central arrangement would just map to itself. These funny lines in the corners would map to themselves. The only thing... right, these Rembrandt lines are breaking. That's not rotationally symmetric. Neither is that one, neither is that one, and neither is this one. So it's these 4 little tiny Rembrandts that are going to have to do the disambiguation in the puzzle. Now that suggests to me this is not where we should start looking. So there's going to be something we can tell about these other Rembrandts. Maybe I should start off in the most trivial way possible, and that's by colouring in those 2 cells. They are the same, and these 2 cells are the same because of the not the Rembrandts, the palindromes. So, no, that's not doing anything, is it? I did learn something about a 4-cell Rembrandt the other day, which is that a 4-cell Rembrandt always has to have a 3 or a 7 on it, or both. I'll leave that as an exercise to the viewer to work out why that is true, but there was a beautiful puzzle that demonstrated it the other day by the Sudoku Skunk Works or something. Maybe I've got to do Sudoku. Is it 1s and 9s then? I can see we've got 1s and 9s on those in that 2x2 there, which presumably by symmetry means I can do the same thing down there. And you can't put... Oh yeah, okay, right. And you can't put 1 and 9 on the same 4-cell Rembrandt because that would just be silly. And apart from it being silly, it would be logically inconsistent, because if you had a 1 on this line, we would know that the contents of the line had to be 1, 2, 3 and 4 because the digits need to be consecutive. And none of the digits I just said was 9, so that won't work. So, yeah. So one of these lines is a low Rembrandt, and one of them is a high Rembrandt, but we don't know which way round they go. And that means 5 in this box is a bit restricted. 5's got to be in one of those cells, because you can't put a 5 on a 4-cell Rembrandt that has a 1 on it, and you can't put a 5 on a 4-cell Rembrandt that has a 9 on it. So that's a little bit interesting. And the same must be true down there, because it's totally symmetrical. So, what do we do with this newfound information about 5s? The answer is, I don't know. We should... I'm wondering if I can do something with the geometry. I can't... Oh, no. No, I don't think I can anyway. So, 1s and 9s in the middle box would be very useful if you could get them onto the coloured cells. Why can't this be a 1 or a 9? If that's a 1 or a 9, it would push... Oh, no, it can't be a 1 or a 9. Ah, right, good grief. Okay. That's classic codec, just completely bamboozling me. Right, this cannot be a 1 or a 9, and presumably therefore no, and this one can't be either. Let's work out why. Let's say this is a 1. Now if it's a 1, we now know the nature of this Renban. This has to be a low Renban, which is a 1, 2, 3 or 4. But that's because we can't repeat the 1 on the Renban. That's shifting the 1 onto the other Renban in box 1, where we know it must also have a 9 on it, because you can't put a 9 on this Renban once it's got a 1 on it. And then once you put the 1 on the other Renban, you also can't put the 9 on that one. So this doesn't work at all. And that's going to be important in the middle box. So in the middle box, you've got to put the 1s and 9s in the coloured cells, which means you've got to propagate those into the corner cells. And then we actually resolve them using the 1s and 9s in the corner. So this cell's got to be a 1, that cell's got to be a 1, that cell's got to be a 9, and that cell's got to be a 9. And suddenly we have digits. And we have digit. Oh, look, we have got digits. Look, we can get rid of 1s in there and 9s in there. And presumably we can do the same thing down here. 9s, 1s. I enjoy symmetry. It makes me think like I'm getting double value for all the logical deductions. Now, right, and let's continue to think about the Renban. The Renbans can't have 1 and 9 on them. So this Renban we can't have a 1 here and a 9 here. So that means this digit, this cell, has to contain one of those digits. So that's 1 or 9. And the same is true here. This is 1 or 9. And I bet these have to be different for some reason. But what that reason is beyond me at the moment. Okay. So how do we do this then? I don't know. Is it something to do with 5s? I'm suddenly thinking, if you can lock 1 and 9 off a 4-cell Renban, yeah, then you have to put 5 on it. Right, okay. So like this, no, it's not quite, doesn't quite work actually. I was just thinking, if I could lock, if you lined up the digits 1 to 9 in an order, and then you cut off the 1 and the 9. So you've actually, I could have said this more simply. If you line up the digits 2 to 8 in order, and then you slice 4 consecutive digits somehow from that sequence, you're always going to pick up a 5. So if we can lock 1 and 9 off a 4-cell Renban, which we can't up here and we can't down there, so it's going to be one of these 2, or that one. If we can lock a 1 or a 9, or 1 and a 9 off them, we know they had 5 on them. No, okay, sorry, this is not actually helping, is it? Because as far as I can see, this can be a 1. And as far as I can see, this can be a 9, and vice versa down here. So, how do we do this then? Oh no! I'm totally stuck. We can do some Sudoku actually. Look, we can put 9 in one of those 2 cells. Yeah, maybe this is what we've got to do. We've got to do some Sudoku. I know I neglect it, but I'm suddenly seeing I can put some symmetrical pencil marks here. Look, the 9s are totally symmetrical to my new pencil marks for 1s. Okay, that's great. It's great, but it doesn't actually... Does it actually help me to do something useful? I'm not seeing this at all. I'm not seeing what I've got to do at all. Is it, I feel like it might be to do with the 5s. So, how can we conclude about that? Is it something to do with geometry, actually? Let me think about that as well, because I think I almost want to label these different colours. because we've got to remember, one of these rem bands is a low rem band and one of them is a high rem band. So there are no shared digits. Yeah, that might be sensible. I might just highlight that to indicate that. There are no shared digits between these two rem bands, and the same is true down here, of course. Yes, that's it. Right, this is what we should have spotted. So this digit has to find a home in box 1 somewhere. Where does it go? Remember, it can't repeat on its own rem band, so it's not in these two cells. And we know that there's no shared digit, so it's not an orange digit. So this digit can only go there, which becomes a blue digit, which means it's not a 5, because we know that these are extreme rem bands. One of them is a 1, 2, 3, 4. One of them is a 6, 7, 8, 9. So now that's moved 5 up here. Has that done? Is that useful? I have no idea why that's important. But it must be the same down here, mustn't it? Let's use different colours. So one of these rem bands is an extreme 1, 2, 3, 4. One of them is an extreme 6, 7, 8, 9. So the equivalent digit this time is this one. So this one has to go here in the box, which means it's not 5, and the 5 moves downwards. And that means what then? I don't know. I feel like this is in some way important, these 5s. Or maybe these digits, because this is really... So, oh yeah, maybe that's what I've got to note. Those two digits are the same, aren't they? And these two digits are the same. And I've already got a very chromatically beautiful puzzle. So this digit is not 9, so it goes in one of those two cells. And this digit is not 1, so it goes in one of those two cells. Ah, right. Now we should think about where is the symmetry broken in this puzzle. And the symmetry is broken here. And that is... yeah, I've got it. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so the key digit is this one. Because this digit cannot go on this rem band. But what would happen if this was a 1? If that's a 1, then this is a 1 in box 9, which means that the green rem band here, it means these are both green rem bands. Because they both have 1 on them, they've got the same set of digits, which means this digit would need to appear on this rem band, and it can't. That is so gorgeous. So now, this can't be a 1. This is not a 1 in box 8, which means that's the 1. Which fixes this rem band. Oh, this is going to do work. Look, 2, 3, and 4. That means that can't be a 9. So that becomes a 9, which means this becomes a 1, which means we now know the nature of purple. Purple is low, which means we know the nature of green. Green is high, so these are high digits. They're high digits, and one of them must be a 9, therefore. Where's the 9 going? Is it there? Yes, it is. Okay, so that's the 9. And then we get loads of high digits along with the 9. So, okay, so what's this done? Has it done... It's clearly done something. I've got some more digits. But it's weird. It's weirdly asymmetrical because I've got stuff going on now at the bottom of the grid, but it doesn't propagate to the top of the grid because this rem band pattern doesn't exist here in the same way. least I don't think it does. So what's happened here? The ones got resolved. So have I resolved all the ones? No, I haven't. I've still got these ones. And the nines, I got... No, the nines aren't resolved. So my expectation here from the symmetry is that this cell is a 9 for some reason, because that its rotationally symmetrical counterpart is the 1 here. Why is this square a 9? I don't know. These squares have got to be... Oh! Yes, I do know, don't I? I do know. It's because of box 1. Yeah, look, once these become 5, 6, 7 or 8, this digit now has to be close enough to this, whatever this is, to be consecutive with it on a 4-cell Renban. So if this can't be 5, because there aren't enough cells to get to the 1 or the 9 if it's 5. So this is a high digit, which means this must also be a high digit. So we now know the nature of orange Renbans. Orange Renbans are 9876s. So we know these digits, which means we shunt the 1 over here in box number 1, which means that the nature of the blue Renban is 2, 3, 4. So that all gets resolved. And now 1 is placeable here by Sudoku. And 9 is placeable here by Sudoku, and we get the resolution I was expecting. So now this Renban can't have 5 on it, so we get 5 in the middle of the grid, which definitely should have a song, but to my knowledge does not. This has got to be a 6, 7 or an 8. Now, do I get rid of the colouring now? Because it's looking a bit much to me. I've done all the 9s, haven't I? Yes. Have I done all the 1s? Yes. That's not 9 anymore. Yeah, okay, let's go to colour and get rid of some of this colour. I think the things I want to keep track of are that those 2 cells are the same. Let's keep a track of that. And these 2 cells down here are the same. So let's remember those 2 things. We'll make those green. And that's not a 1 anymore. And now let's think again about the nature of the world. So, what on earth do we do now? We shall... 5 is a bit restricted in box 2. It's got to be in one of 3 positions. This digit has to be in one of those 2 cells. Is there something to do with... I don't know, I'm stuck again. 5, oh, it's the same. Yeah, it's symmetrical. The 5s are sort of symmetrical, so we get the same sort of thing going on there that we had going on here. The only difference is this one, we've got the Renban. Which needs a 5 on it. Oh, good, yeah, got it. This, right. This beautiful Renban, which has already served some beautiful purpose involving this green cell, is now doing more work for us because it cannot have a 1 or a 9 on it. We've got 1s and 9s looking at every cell on it, so if it hasn't got a 1 or a 9 on it and it's 4 cells long, it must have a 5 on it. And the 5s here are looking at that one, and the 5 in the middle is looking at that one. That is a 5. Which means there's which means we can place 5 in this box. It means we can almost place 5 in box 7. It means we can almost place 5 in box 3 just using rotational logic. We can Oh, come on. Right. Okay, I see what's going on here as well. This is so clever, this puzzle. Honestly, it's just joyful. It's just joyful. Look, fives are looking at this Remban now, which also... So this Remban, this little Remban, which you might think doesn't do anything, cannot have on it 1, 5, or 9. So, but it's 3 consecutive digits. So it's either 2, 3, 4. Well, it's not this, because this column now has a big problem in that we've got a quadruple of 3 different digits, which will necessitate that we repeat one of those digits, and that we cannot do. So this is not 2, 3, 4. This must be 6, 7, 8. And what does that do? You may well ask. It does absolutely diddly squat by the looks of it, but oh, it literally does nothing. No, I can't see what that does. I'm so sorry if it does something really obvious, but I don't know what that is. What I can see is we've got to have a blue digit down here where it accompanies its friend the 5. So this is a blue 5 combination, and I bet that works down here. Yes, this is a green 5 combination. That still doesn't seem to... So we know those 2 squares are 2s, 3s and 4s, but oh, whoopsie, because they can't include the 5. And we don't have a symmetrical equivalent of that because we don't understand this Renban yet. So how is this supposed to be? I'm wondering if what we've got to do is sort of extend the colouring somehow. Although I'm not seeing at the moment any particularly... okay, here is a small point. That digit is a little bit interesting, because that digit must appear in this 6, 7, 8 triple, and so it must be on the left-hand side of it. But then, where does it go in box 6? Remember, this digit can't repeat on its own Renban, so that digit must be red, which means it's a 6, 7 or an 8. Which is actually quite nice. That gives us a 6, 7, 8 triple in column 9. So, oh, no, hang on. Also, well, let me just pencil mark column 9. But then I've just noticed this digit has to go in one of these 3 cells, so that must be the red digit, which again can't repeat on its Renban, so that must be a red digit. So we've got a red digit. This is now a red digit, not a red digit, it's a 6, 7, 8 digit. This is so beautiful, isn't it? It's really simple and elegant, but once you see it, because now this can't be 5, and that's the only way that this digit could escape from being a high digit. So that's got to be a high digit. And in fact, oh no, I don't think we know more than that, but it's definitely a high digit. Now, can we go further with red? The answer is I don't know. What's the equivalent of this digit over here? It's this one, isn't it? Oh, but it doesn't work because we don't know enough about box 7. So we've got to figure out something else. What is that something else? We shall. So maybe I continue to colour. Maybe this one needs its own colour as well, just to make it feel part of its, you know, a member of its tribe. That digit is different from that digit. Yes, so that's green, I think. Because this one is not green and there's a 6, 7, 8 triple in this row, that must be green. Which means that one must be yellow because this is a 6, 7, 8 triple in box 4. So yellow is in one of these two cells in box 9, which means yellow is in one of those two cells in box 8, which means yellow is in one of those two cells in box 8. Okay. Look at that digit. That's rather beautiful. That digit cannot be a 2, 3 or a 4 because it sees every... Look at this digit here. It sees every cell on this Renban. Or all the 2, 3, 4 digits anyway. So it cannot be a 2, 3 or a 4. And then look at the column. It's got 1, 5 and 9 up here. So this must be a 6, 7, 8 digit. Now, does that mean it's yellow? Yes, it does mean it's... Oh, this is so good. It's yellow because it sees green and it sees red. So it must be the other colour. So that is yellow. And that means what? Don't know. I know yellow's in one. Oh, look, I can do this one as well. I've got green and red on it. So that must be yellow, which means that must be green. Now, this square sees green through the medium of its Renban and sees red through its medium of its column. So that's yellow, which means that one must be red to complete the Renban. Which, this is getting very interesting now. Yellow, we know, is in one of those two cells. So there are effectively 4 yellows looking at this box now. So yellow has to be exactly there. Now I've got 3 yellows in this column. Now, can we keep this going? That's the question. That's the challenge. I don't know is the answer. I know there's a green up here, so I know that's not green. Oh yeah, okay. So where does green go in this box? And the answer is I don't really know. It's in this domino. But that means that green in this box, in box 3, is in one of those two cells, which means that green in box 2 is in one of those two cells, and it can't be in that one. So that, I think, is green. Which means this square... Oh, look, we could have got that a different way, by symmetry. This square sees all 3 cells on this Renban. So this is exactly the same. This is the same as that. So this, but working the other direction. So this is 2, 3 or 4. This is just elegance personified, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It really is. So now what do we do, though? We've got 2. So red in this box is in one of those 2 cells. It would be lovely to know if it was on the line or not. Yeah, okay, I don't know where red is in this box, except to say it's in one of these 2 cells. And that means we can place red here in this box. And that is absolutely beautiful, because now I know what that digit is. Because that digit can no longer be a 6, 7 or an 8, because were it to be a 6, 7 or 8, what are we going to make consecutive with it here? 6, 7s and 8s are not available, and neither is 9, and neither is our friend the 5, which can't go there. So this cannot be 6, 7 or 8, so that must be 5, and this must be the green one. That is absolutely gorgeous. So that's 6, 7 or 8. Well, which means that's green now in the corner. No, that doesn't get a song. Doesn't rhyme, does it? So this is 2, 3, 4 or 5. Green is now in one of those 2 cells. Can we just colour the whole grid now or not? Perhaps we can't. Well, yeah, once this is 5, this is obviously 4. So these 2 squares have got to be a 2, 3 pair. So now 4 maybe we're getting restricted from other cells. or not. I don't know. I really want to disambiguate that Renban as well. I feel that should be possible somehow. Oh, that's yellow. Look, yellow, yellow. That's got to be yellow. Now, that's great. That means that's yellow. So we get another bit of colouring done. Now this has got to be red. Red, red. That's red. So now this should be green. And now we've got 4 greens looking at box 6. So we can colour that square as green, which means we can... So we've got all 3 there now. We should be able to colour red, and we can in box number 2. Which means we can colour red in box number 8 on the Renban. Ah, I see. I understand this as well, for once. Now this Renban is suddenly revealing its secrets. Because how can this be anything other than 6? If it was 7, we would need to put a 6 here, but we know the 6, 7, 8 triple's already placed in this box. So the only thing that can be is 6. This can't be a higher digit, so it must be the digit that that provides the bridge between this digit, which is now a 3, and this digit, which must be a 4. And now this square's a 2. And we now know red is a 6, so we can just fill them all in. Now red is attached to yellow, so yellow is 7, and we fill them all in, which means green is 8. This is absolutely wonderful, isn't it? That's a 2. It's just a naked single, I think. Just going to double check that. That's very unlike me to see a naked single that quickly. Yeah, it's because it sees all the high digits, and it sees a 4 and a 3 as well, so it must be a 2. Now, how does that help us? Now this must be a 3, so that must be a 3. So that's not a 3. This column needs a 2 in it somewhere, so we can put that in. That digit, oh, it's the same as that one, which we learnt from earlier, and that's not a 2. Now I seem to have a 3-4 pair on that Renban, which suggests that that must be a 2. So that must be a 2. We can take 2s out of here. We can take 2 out of here, and 3 in fact. And have we used all our Renbans? Are we sort of done on Renbans? We may be. These can't be 2s anymore. So it's definitely a 5 up here. 4 comes out of these 2 squares. So this is a 2-3 pair. And, oh, in fact, where does 2 go in this column seems to be a valid question. It seems to only have one answer, which is there. So that's 2, that's 3. Which means 3 is placed in box number 6. Which means this square ought to be a 2 or a 4 by Sudoku. And hopefully we're almost on the right track to finishing the puzzle. 2, 4 and 5 into those squares. We know the 2's in one of those, so this is not 2, this is 4 or 5. Come on, how do we finish this off? Do we have to colour the 2's and the 3's and the 4's? We might have to. No, we don't need to. That 2 sees that one. So that's a 4, that's a 2. That's a 5. Therefore that's a 2. This is a 4. Now this column needs a 5. That means that's a 4, and that should be a something. A 7. Oh goodness, I never coloured in the 7 in this box. How remiss of me. I'm so sorry. I'm not sorry to you. I mean, I'm a bit sorry to you guys, but I'm very sorry for the 7. Which must feel awful. 3, 5, this is 4, that's 3, that's 4, that makes that 3, that 4. So this is, that's got to be a 4. These 2 squares are a 2, 5 pair, which means they're that order, which makes that square have to be a 5 and that square have to be a 3. And there we have it, I think. Let's just tick, yay! Fabulous. Absolutely first class. That was just a joy from start to finish, honestly. If any of you have friends who sometimes say, why do you spend time watching Sudoku videos? I admit that is a fair question, but show them this puzzle. Get them to try this puzzle, because I think anybody with any love of logic and, you know, the beautiful things that it can lead to would enjoy that. That is just sensational setting. It's so simple. When I say it's not simple to solve it, I'm not saying that, but it's so clean, and the logic in it is so elegant that it's just, you know, it giveth an awful lot of pleasure. Thank you, Codec. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.